Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of On the Flip Side. On the first Monday of every month, we talk about mindset, and every other Monday after that, it's all about real estate. My name is Diana Lizarazo, and today's guest speaker is Vardaan Sangar. Sorry, totally butchered that name. But he's going to be coming on so he'll properly say it for me. But before we get started, I want to share some exciting news with you. We have a social networking platform for the real estate investing industry. If you are an investor, if you are a mentor, or you are a professional, those are people that help service other investors, then you want to be a part of this platform because it will help you not only by transforming the way you work, but also transform because you'll be a part of communities that are very powerful that can really help you out because collaboration is key to growing. So if you want to get on that platform, if you want to go and download the app, then go to realestateinvestorfam.com, and there you can see Vardaan's account, his profile. You get to read more about him and learn more about him and see if he's the right fit for you. So now back to the show. On the flip side, our guest speakers are experts in specific topics in real estate investing, and they're here to share their experiences with you and to share their knowledge with you. So if you're ready to bring on Vardaan, send him some thumbs up, some happy face, and some hearts, and let's get him on the stage. And then let's see if we can get him on. Oh, this is nice and quick. Hey, how are you? Sorry, I totally butchered your name. I don't know what happened. The nerves.
No, not at all, not at all. No need to sorry about that. I totally understand. Many people, it becomes difficult for them to pronounce, so I can pronounce it well. Vardaan Sangar.
Sangar. Okay, Vardaan Sangar. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Thanks so much for coming on. So excited for today's topic. I think it's a super interesting topic because I also believe the same as you that so we're going to be basically comparing the differences between a salesperson and the problem solver. So let's start with, before we get started on that topic, let's just start with letting the viewers know a little bit about yourself. Who are you as a professional? Who are you as a real estate investor? How long have you been in the field? And anything you'd like to share with us?
First of all, thank you so much, Diana. I've been following your show since a very long time, and thank you so much for getting me on your show. And I really appreciate that. And to start with, my name is Vardaan Sangar. I'm an immigrant to Canada. So I came to Canada a few years back as a student and started my journey as a real estate investor very started in the very start, working with different people. And here I am today in front of you guys, investor. I own many properties in Ontario right now. Total properties I own is 5, and working as a full-time real estate agent in Ottawa Valley metropolitan area right now. So anybody can reach out to me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm available through all the social media handles. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So now let's start with what is your definition of a salesperson and why do you prefer to call yourself a problem solver? What came up with that?
So to be very honest, uh, I have been in education sector previously. I was in software sector as well. Right now, I am in sales. So one thing I have seen is being needy is the last thing you want to be on the side at. And if you bring value to the table, if you are adding on value to someone, that is something more genuine to attain any commission, remuneration, or any kind of payment. I would say that rather than just thinking about sales. And that's where a lot of sales agent, sales representative, they make a lot of bigger mistakes there because your role is to solve a problem. You see any inventions, you see any big things, you see any big companies which are making money right now, they first solve the problem, then they earn money. Whereas if your motto is to just do a sales, that's what a salesman do is. If you keep on doing the sales, then at the end of the day, it's not about value, so no return back on it. So that's what I mean. When you solve someone's problem, someone is an issue, someone is going through the problem, he doesn't understand the numbers, he's new to the industry, he wanted to know like what's going to be in and out when he's buying a home, things like that. So that is what solving their problem first. That is the mindset I always think, whereas the people have an opposite mindset, like thinking as a sales, and that's why sometimes things never work.
I love that because I had a similar problem in a different sense. For me, my problem was I'm very much an introvert, and also those misconceptions of what a salesperson is, right? You do see it exactly like either they're called scammers, they're called every bad name in the book, probably because obviously they didn't understand what the purpose of a salesperson is. And I remember same thing. I had a mentor once tell me because I was just like struggling with it. I'm like, I don't like that even word, salesperson. It's just like such a hard thing for me to understand and deal with, and because of those all those definitions that come with the salesperson. And I remember what helped me is exactly what you said. Like the mentor told me, he's just like, stop thinking. He's like, when if you're thinking about you making a sale, of course you're gonna feel uncomfortable. Of course you're not gonna like it because you're only thinking I. You get into a very selfish mentality. Whereas if you're like, how can I solve the problem for this? It becomes like a completely different thing because now you're thinking of the other person, which is what I love that you say with this, and I love that philosophy because you're thinking about that other person. And now, at least as an introvert, which I think is very scary, to be have people looking at you and seeing you all the time. Like, extroverts love to have the attention. Introverts are like, no, no, it's okay. Like, I don't want to be the attention. So even in that sense, I think it also helps in many ways because I think it relieves a lot of the stress from you when you're just like, how can I help you? What is the problem that you're having? And I may not be the solution to that problem.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and definitely, because sometimes hearing out, because I am in a profession either as an investor or either as a realtor, you have to meet a lot of people. First of all, you have to understand what their major problems are, what their requirements are, rather than just thinking about like, okay, where the sales is. First of all, very importantly, and home buying is something, not a vegetable buying or a phone buying or a car buying. A lot of people like put a lot of energy in it. So as a realtor or as a sales agent, you have to understand like they would be having so many of questions. So first of all, listen that person, try to understand where he's stuck at. To just give you a quick example, I will give you an example. So there was a client of mine, like he visited many realtors, nobody was able to help him because his buying power was not well. So he went to many realtors of the city, and everybody said like, okay, you won't be able to buy a detached home, so buy a townhome. So he came to me. Uh, I listened him. So his only problem was he wanted a detached home. He doesn't want a townhome, but his salary, his income, he cannot afford. So the challenge was not to sell him a townhome. That's why he was not buying. So that's what a salesman will do. Buy a townhome. He will go and buy a townhome and stay there. That's what only a salesman will do. I checked, I discussed his mortgage power with my mortgage broker. He said to me, we discussed certain things. My investment knowledge came in. So we buy a detached bungalow having a secondary dwelling unit in the basement. So he got approved with the same loan, but for a detached home having a secondary dwelling unit in the basement. And he is closing that home this July. So he is having a legal basement. So he is now owner of a detached home. Nobody was able to help him because they were just seeing the numbers and saying you can buy a townhome. So you listen, solve the problem, then you deserve remuneration very, very well.
I love that because that also just speaks to exactly that problem solver type of attitude where a lot of people are just, here's the box and you have to fit inside it. And that creativity doesn't come in there, which is basically what a problem solver also is. It's like you really have to get creative and think, okay, these are your requirements. How do I make this happen within the boundaries, instead of the other way around, right? Instead of you being like, okay, this is the box that we have and you fit inside it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And
and like you
yeah,
said, that's even like the tip that you're giving is that you have to listen and really find out, probably, like you said, like what those real needs are, like what it has to be, and then what it doesn't have to be.
yes. So
Any other tips that you would like to give? So one of them was listening. What else would you say that a problem solver or someone that's going into trying to help people out and sell something for them?
yeah, like see, problem solver, like first thing is very important is listening. Second thing, very importantly, is you yourself have been in many problems as an investor, then only you can preach somebody because you have to walk, then you can talk. So that is an important requisite because if you yourself doesn't have experience, I bought 5 properties myself, did flips, did money lending. So I totally understand like ins and out when we talk about money, people, and the deal. There are only 3 things. So when you're on the
Oops, sorry. It went silent for a minute.
sorry.
It went silent for a minute. If you want just the last sentence.
Yes, so what I think is listening and then being more experienced on the other end makes a lot of difference because you understand different pieces of real estate. Then you have the capacity to solve someone's problem. If you don't, you yourself haven't seen different scenarios, different way of lendings, different way of acquiring a deal, combining people and buying together, you cannot give them those options because you only know simple things. So listening, being more experienced, I will say, and at the same time getting updated with the industry, what's happening, what's not happening. Just to give you an example, many people cannot afford pre-construction home, but with the amortization period increasing, when you educate your buyers, like, okay, amortization period is going to get increased. If you book from a year now, you're going to get better amortization. It's about education. So if you know that, then only you can add that value, I would say. So it comes with more experience. And what I've seen is many people, they start selling until they don't even own themselves. So that's their mindset is because they stop. If you experiment on yourself first and then you are actually delegating to someone, but people do opposite. They do experiment on somebody else and
Mhm.
not on them. So that's how you can build a better castle. And at the end of the day, any business is integrity and trust. And the person on the other side, he's very smart enough because it is a digital age. If you will bring
Mhm.
value, he will do business with you. If you will not bring value, he will not do business with you, and neither any kind of investment as well, because we as an investor do joint ventures as well. So if you are full of integrity, then only a deal will go longer. And you
Mhm.
yourself understand very well, like in joint venture, it's all about dignity, commitment, and your experience.
Mhm. I love that. And it's very, very true. You do start realizing how important it is for your teams, mortgage brokers, realtors, it's like everyone that has that experience in investing. Because exactly what you're saying, it's like that creativity is so important and that understanding. So if they themselves, and I think one of the things that I really love even more also is that, yes, you work on projects yourself, but you see other people's projects. So like you said, you get to see it for yourself and understand it, which is very, very important. But also when you're working with lots of other investors, you also have that opportunity to see so much more than what even you see, because not all of us, even I still work on projects that I still have things that have never happened to me. And it's just like, and I don't think it'll ever happen that I'll be able to experience every single problem that's happened in the world, with investing. So I think that the two come really well into play there because it's like that, like you've experienced it, which that hands-on experience, I completely agree. It needs to be there because it's just like you understand things so much more differently when you've had like boots on the ground, you've been there, you've done it, you've dealt with the stress, the annoying parts of things, pulled out your hair a couple times, it's like you understand the person and you understand where they're coming from, or you can even be a little preventative, right? If they're newer at it, you kind of prepare them for it too, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that helps you a lot. So I will give you an example for that. So I have bought many older properties. So I understood like what crack in a basement is. So when I was doing my first deal, that house we were negotiating on had some hairline cracks. So if I wouldn't be an investor, I wouldn't be able to pull my very first deal 1.5 years back. But I was very confident, and so was my buyers because I knew everything. We get a quote right away after inspection and reduce $10,000 for a small hairline crack. So maybe if somebody doesn't have that experience, so that's why I say maybe he wanted to solve the problem, but maybe he needs that experience as well down the road to solve that problem. So that thing helps a lot along with listening, I would say. But yes, you life is very short. You cannot do all the mistakes yourself. Like in business as well, I'm working with my main mentor. Like he has a good experience, but I joined a team. I never did business alone because when you go alone, you can go fast, but you cannot go long. But if you want to go longer, perfectly making sure you're bringing value every time, definitely you have to do compromises for yourself. But you are seeing a longer picture because at the end of the day, anything, just for a layman who doesn't understand real estate we are talking about right now, if Facebook is getting sold, it is adding value to someone. Similarly, anything in the market is going to get sold or going to get return value if it's something bring value or light to someone's life. So that's really stick into my head when I came to Canada. Like you cannot take shortcuts if you are not providing values, not doing negotiations for your clients, not solving problem for them, not telling them the real values, even if the things they have bought, what should they be careful in the future, right? Things like that, so that they are well prepared, uh, and calculated risk. Things like that, many people they don't understand, and it takes a lot of experience to bring them to that level. And somebody taught me as well, and nobody knows it from the start. To add to your point, so I did coaching. I worked with my coach, get the knowledge, information, everything. So it's about your environment, and that's why I'm very grateful I'm sitting in front of you today to share that space because I can value the mindset you guys have right now because of the investment you guys are doing, and you're doing a very wonderful job in GTA side. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, same thing on your side. It's great to see the progress and everything that you've gone through because you can really tell, like you're saying, the importance, even something that you're basically alluding to, but really haven't said, and I wanted to bring up is that communication piece is also very, very important. And on the side of who you're working with, be it your team members or like that, if you're providing a service, that communication is so important so that you can do your job the best. So do you have any tips on that side for how do you help your clients communicate with you and give you all the information you need so things aren't lost like that? Like for example, you like you said, like there's a crack in the foundation and maybe you think like not to say anything because you think that they're experienced, but actually, like getting to know the customer is so important to be able to make sure that you're sharing what you need for them. Do you have any tips for that communication to help them to open up and feel comfortable with you?
Yes, so see, my way of meeting with the client, and I always, first of all, whenever I am purchasing any house, I put myself in their shoes because that has to become very important. If I will put myself in my shoes and put an offer for them, sometimes things can be different. So, first of all, I think from their perspective, their financing, what is the best they can have, first of all. And I'm very very transparent. I tell everything like, okay, these are the options, maybe this can be best for you, this can be best for you, and it's all about communication. If somebody is sitting with me for 2 to 3 hours in my first appointment, I understand they want to learn. They are the kind of people, they don't know a lot of things. There are certain people, certain buyers who come, Vardaan, we fully trust on you and we don't want to do research on real estate. We fully trust you. All we need is a communication for you, because communication is key as well, because that is very very important. And that also depends like how many people you are working with. I never want to take more than 8 buyers at a time, because when you take more than 8 buyers at a time, I think it becomes very, very difficult to do comparables, to do critical market analysis for them. I don't know how other people's do, but for me, I want to spend a lot of time when I'm doing comparables. So it also depends upon your whether you are putting yourself in your buyer shoes and making sure you are doing the best for them. First thing. Second thing is communication. If you find out anything, explaining them what's going to be the future impacts of those things to them. Because when you are going and seeing older properties or even properties in 90s and 2000, sometimes it becomes important to educate them, like what they are putting their shoes into right now and what they're going to do in the future. Maybe the kind of floor plan they are buying going to get outdated in 15 years, and if my buyer is thinking it as a retirement, it's going to hurt him. So if I don't know him well, if I don't talk with him or her well, how would I know that's going to be in the best interest or in bad interest of my client? So it's about talking, making them comfortable, but at the same time, asking the questions which you need to know, like questions like, what is your goal? I don't see, when I was buying home, no realtor was asking me, what is your goal? And when I talk with my clients, I ask them, what is your goal with that property? If you are buying it for your kids, I have to think from that perspective. If you are buying it for a flip, I have to guide you from that. And if you are buying it for 10 years, there might be a different strategy. Or if you are buying for refinance, there can be different strategy. But if you don't ask them, and that's what I see, when you don't limit your buyers, when you don't prioritize your buyers, all you're going to do is sales. So
Mhm.
if you set a boundary, you think it as a task where you're going to add on value, and what happens? Those 8 people going to go and talk with another 8 people, like this is the service I get. And that's how my business flourished, because I never went out of my boundaries. The way I bought my houses, the similar way I bought for my clients, but the only thing is in their mindset, like with their affordability, with their thought process. But what would I have bought? I suggested that, and that comes with a lot of experience working with contractors, inspectors, and investors like you, because it's very important to do the napkin numbers and deal numbers, and people don't know. So if anyone is a new home buyer, he should know that, because when he's going to buy the second property, he's going to be more educated while buying that investment. So that helps a lot, I would say. These kind of things help them to understand that this is what they're going to be going into. So it's easy going in real estate. I always remember Stephen Arneo's line. So it's very easy going in, but it is difficult going out. So no, and that's what I say to my clients. So be stable and let's talk more possibilities, so that you have all the possibilities. And when you buy, you always buy as a seller. You never buy as a buyer. So this is a other way of saying it, so that you are always thinking out your way of coming out of it. Plan A, plan B, plan C. Then you never lose money in your real estate, because that's the number one point. Everyone says never lose money in real estate, and the second point is remember point one.
Love it, love it. And it's so true. That's those are such great points. It's yeah, it's so important to be able to have that communication and just be able to have that transparency.
Yes.
And another thing that I think that you were also telling us, which I think is also important, is that having that ability to just ask those really important questions to really be able to get to know that client better.
Yes.
Because, like you said, it's just a solution for me can be so different for a solution for you. And I've seen that many times because from the very beginning, let's say with me, I my plan was run my real estate as a business. And so my thing was always, I need some income coming in. These properties need to be making income. But there's other people that have very different points of view. They're about the long-term generational wealth. For example, everyone has different goals. And I think, and it's great, like you said, to have even that asking the goal, because like
Yes.
that, like my goal is a very right now goal, like it needs to make me income within 6 months. Day one, great. Within 6 months, great. More than a year, not happening. Don't even show it to me. Whereas
Yes.
like someone else will be like, my goal is to make this much money within like this time frame. That thought process is going to be
Yes.
so different to what I would be wanting, because now you're just like, okay, we're working with different circumstances here. So I love that you say that. It's very true. Knowing the goal is very, very important.
And yes, very importantly, because if you don't know what your goal is, I will give you an example. Many people say, this is my first home and I am going to be fine. I'm going to buy other homes. I always say, your first home is very important investment. Will you ask me why? Because that is the home, if you plan very well, and if you're going to live 10 years in it, you are not paying capital gain tax for those 10 years. So I would say, he will be or she will be a foolish person if he don't research a lot while buying their first home, if they want to keep it for a longer duration, because those 10 years, if they bought it for the best place, best return, all those 10 years, 100k, 200k, 250k, that is tax free. So you should be very wise enough to understand. And if somebody's goal is to only buy one home, he's going to not talk about that goal, right? So those things becomes very important. What you gonna do? I know you're gonna live, sleep, eat, and grow old in that house, but let it make money for you as well. That mindset is not given to common public. I was not also aware of that. Now I see all my rental properties as like I'm sleeping and I have to sit on them for another 10 to 12 years, that is for sure. That's how it's going to do that generational wealth for me. And that is my goal. Maybe somebody's goal is to flip in 2 years. So that strategy is going to be totally, totally different. So that why goal becomes very, very important.
Yes, yes. And like it also sometimes comes up, I'm sure that some people don't even have the goals. So you just asking that question helps them to start forming their goal and to be able to, because they may be like, I want this, and then after they start really thinking it through, you start that chit chat, all of a sudden the house that they want could be completely different too, depending on, again, because you ask that question, it starts bringing out that creativity in them, right? Which is like, as you are as a person, that problem solver, your job is to kind of like pull out that information that they may not even realize they needed, but you need it because you're trying to find a solution for them. So I love that. That's great.
Yeah, and I always say it comes with experience, because when we buy an investment property, we first at least put 30 to 40 offers, then we buy a property,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that experience, how to negotiate in each and every offer, like, and more properties you keep on buy, more experience you start bringing under your cap. But what I see from the buyer's perspective is, when they are first time home buyers, they are not pure investors, they want a balance of both things. So it becomes very important how a realtor understand the return on investment on neighborhoods, like what are the best places to be at, and to give them an idea. Like, I would say, selling is not a solution. Realtor makes money on selling, mortgage agent makes money on selling, lawyer makes money on selling, maybe a seller makes money or not. So if you're not wise while buying that you're going to be a seller one day, how you are making an informed decision, and that perspection change the journey of buying the home, because now buyer understands like what he's gonna need and what is important when he's gonna be selling that house. And it makes sense to you as well, because when, if you have never been seller, somebody needs to tell you, beware, you're going to be seller, so make an informed decision. So that is a very important job description of a realtor, I would say.
Yeah, I love it. And very, very true. I completely agree with you. So, are there any other tips or viewpoints that you'd like to share in the comparison like that between a seller and a problem solver?
Yeah, so see, problem solving, one another thing I would say is understand your clients, right? Guide them, listen them, bring ample of experience in front of them. Maybe they won't be using it, but I always suggest people who are listening our show, your realtor is like your family realtor. There is no term as family realtor. There is a term for family doctor, there is a term for family lawyer, there is a term for so many family dietitians. I myself say, why not a family realtor? Take an example. Like if you are going to some random sales agent and ask for a request whether should I sell my house or not, and whereas you have your family realtor who made you bought that house 3 years back, and you genuinely expect from him a right answer when is the right time. Tell me who's gonna tell you a better answer. Because if you have chosen a right realtor and he stays in your family, he making sure he getting you comparables done. Maybe sometimes I even the moment anybody buy a house, I set up a listing for them for any homes that gonna get sold in that neighborhood. So they themselves are experienced enough to see they have made the wise decision. So it's about how you look your realtors. Many people they just see realtor as a person who can show their house. No. So that's the very least superpower you are using of your realtor. If you are hiring a realtor, the what make a realtor a problem solver? Now I'm going to tell you those points. Very important point is first of all he understands you well. First of all he is local in the industry, then only he can solve your problem. First of all, experimental learning along with the realtor is very important. When you are doing the walkthrough, many people I have seen they don't know what is backsplash is. So you have to go into their shoes because I wouldn't assume they should know everything, which means I have to go very, very detailed when I'm doing the walkthroughs or maybe when I'm doing comparables. Now, many realtors they don't do comparables. So if they don't do comparables, when many people come to us and I talk, okay, I'm gonna do the comparables and then discuss the right price with you, and they're like, okay, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I say it's gonna take 45 minutes. I'm not just fooling around and just giving you a random number. I have to go in each and every house, compare it. If it's apple to apple, then I will give you. So these things are actually a quality of a problem solver because here he is now trying to mitigate all the risks for you. Today, see if I'm going to do Uber, there's going to do two things that happen. Either I'm going to have accident if I don't wear belt. If I wear belt, even if I have an accident, I'm going to be safe and return back to my home perfectly well. Similarly is real estate investment. If you take risks without talking with anyone, somebody who has only one house and just you are taking suggestions from him, whereas you're going to an investor oriented realtor who knows what he's talking about, and then take guidance from him and then proceed follow. That is called calculated risk. An accident can still happen. Many people they go into that area, but many areas you have cross check, cross tick where you will not fall into the things. And more portfolio will keep on increasing. You understand the value of that calculated risk because more properties you have, every day you wake up with issues. That's going to happen for sure. So if you don't take calculated risk, but who will tell you to take calculated risk if your realtor hasn't taken that? So who will tell you? So it makes a lot of difference who you are working with. Are you working with a salesman or are you working with a problem solver? I would say that thing because if you check that in your interview, then you know you are working with the right person. And these are basic qualities. Problem solver, maybe realtors say like, okay, you have a crack in a basement. I provide you seven contractors, seven quotes, and now you have in front of you what is the best price to do it. It's not your realtor saying it's going to get done in $2,000 or $5,000. Let's have five contractors, six contractors, get them the quote. Now they're very comfortable, and all those contractors, if you are sending some random guys, you are not problem solver. If you are sending your main guys because you take your clients similar to your work, so then you send some good guys who get give good quotes there, and things are done perfectly fine as well. So that's why I say a realtor can solve a problem in many ways. If you just hire a realtor thinking he's gonna just open the door lock for you, you are not using his superpowers.
I love that. And very, very important what you're saying is actually like interviewing them and knowing what you want in a realtor, because if your thought process of a realtor is they they don't know about investing or that, and you're gonna probably find those kind of things if you're like, oh, they just scam or all they do is just bring you to houses, then your questions are probably all just around that. But if you are trying to ask questions, like you said, to specifically like investor related, you probably ask questions on, have you invested it before? What kind of properties have you invested in? Leave it open ended so that they tell you what it is. And then, okay, that's what they do. And and in those questions, it really helps you find the right kind of people. So even knowing as a client, even knowing the right kind of questions to ask is very important. And so in that case, it's like also want to know what it is that you want in a realtor.
Yes, and many times when I see buyers, I whenever I am their realtor, I still say to them, "You are hiring me, so you can ask anything." They don't have that mindset because sometimes when you hire someone, you want to have full result out of them. Your realtor cannot say, "I cannot do those comparables for you." If he cannot do, because if I expect commitment from my buyer or a seller, right? I first want to give that to them, and I never have to sign agreements with them. I never have to bound them because I know the value I'm providing. Go out. I want you to go out and see. Those values will not get out. So if you don't see, you will come back. So you never have those fear whether your client's gonna stay. I never have that because I know nobody gives that much energy. But if somebody gives that, you as a buyer or a seller have to give them value as well because very you are in a big pond, I would say, in GTA in comparison to Ottawa. So you understand value. You throw a stone, everybody is a realtor. I totally understand. When I was engineer, you throw a stone, everybody was engineer. So I can understand that challenge to be in a competitive environment, I would say. But it matters a lot, a right realtor or just a salesman. So that's why when we are talking about it, there is a lot of difference between these two, and that's why people have less respect for this profession. And when I joined this profession, I just always think in that way because you can bring the change and people can follow you there.
I love that. And actually, I love that you said that you're bringing the change, bringing that different perspective, that there are different type of investors, realtors out there, different types of just professions in general where that they will be able to do what it is that you want, but at the same time, it is you as the client to make sure that you know what you're looking for, what you want in a person, so you can ask those right questions and find that right person for you, because there's so many different things involved. Like personality could be like, yes, they are investors. There could be a few that are investors, but the personality part may be an important part. I mean, some people just clash, and what can you do?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I say that's why it says more fancy in saying I put myself in their shoes, but I think my money is also the same because then only I can make a wise decision because then you behave like that person. The only difference is you are their realtor. But at the same time, then only whatever we say, we can only think of their best interest when we become them. Otherwise, there will always be a difference. But the moment you become them, you understand because it's a hard earned money. Honestly, I will tell you, nobody can tell you better than that. I came on loans. I did my education on loans, paid back all those loans. So I understand how a hard earned money is done, right? So, and people come with a lot of belief, lot of trust. So I always look in that way, and it works for business. At the same end, I am also doing business. So it works for me. I can give you an example. Most of my clients are coming from reference. I don't have to go out and shoot out, okay, I am a realtor, buy from me. Not even a single time because my buyers started coming to me because I already have my own investment portfolio. So that helped me, but at the same time, I take it forward as well. Like more investors you raise, I was reading a very good book of Warren Buffett is to clone the investors. So when I sit with my clients, I try to clone my mindset to them so that I paid 20, $30,000 5 years back to learn those things. And now I think it's the time back to pay in other way. And I still remember my friends asked me why you paid 30,000 to learn that. I was not a realtor at that time, but my answer was I'm not going to do it one time. I'm going to do writing this offer million times. So I was not aware at that time I'm going to be realtor. So now that was the best decision, paying that $30,000 5 years back and understand all the numbers well from money, people, and deal. So sometimes you connect the dots seeing backward, as Steve Jobs says, but right now do what is best value you can add. If you are a software engineer, you are a truck driver, whatever you are, if you will bring value to the table, there is no way you cannot raise your remunerations, you cannot bring more remunerations, or you cannot bring more business. But there is an ethical way to do that, not unethical, because that ship will sail but will not sail longer if you are not ethical.
Completely agree with
Yeah.
you. And even this applies, which you were speaking about earlier, when you're going together in a team, being that problem solver, like being that person that understand yourself well enough to actually know what value you're providing. And sometimes you won't, as new investor, you don't really know what value you're providing. But at least having that problem solving attitude really helps you to even find who you are and how you fit in teams and how you fit in the communities and things like that.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that because I think that just goes like that out to wider, not only as you as a professional, but you as an investor. Also, this very much applies very, very much. Like I said, even for me, in everything that I do, I am selling myself, and it's just like, how am I going to do it? And like exactly what you said is the way that even worked for me. And I guess it's also because like you're an engineer, I'm an engineer, I feel like that generally comes in the territory of engineering. It's just like when you say problem solving, you're like, oh, you're speaking my language.
Definitely, definitely. And it wonders, you totally agree with my point, because I never see I'm an Indian. We are very good negotiators, right? Specifically Asians. But myself, my wife tell me you have paid more, and I feel good paying that more when somebody is giving me that experience. So if you can sell to greater negotiators, Asians, see, nobody is not ready to spend money. People are ready to spend money, but if they get something in return, so that is very important. You give them what they hire you for till the last.
And identifying what it is, because that's basically what you're
Yeah,
doing, identifying what it is that you need so that you can pay me, basically. It's like I provide you value and you love that value so much that you're paying me for it because you see what I can provide. So I love that. Any final comments or summaries that you would like to give to the audience?
yes, so one of the basic summaries I would say is it's not your realtor is choosing you, you are choosing your realtor, first of all. And why I'm emphasizing is not I am a realtor, that's why your realtor makes you throughout the journey. He will tell you the lawyers, he will tell you agents, he will tell you ins and out, he will tell you seller strategy, he will tell you buyer strategy. Make sure you choose it wisely. Don't make it hurry, because once you have chosen that, you are already in good hands. And for that, interview it. If you are interviewed in your jobs, you are now opening a job for a realtor, interviewed it well. First thing. Second thing is understand your finances and goals. And I always want to give this strong message wherever I go. Your first home is not Taj Mahal or Fairmont. So have an investment mindset. Talk with the person who understand numbers well and can discuss your goals in 7 years, 10 years, what you want out of that asset, and then make that informed decision. Not just it's a fancy roof, it's a cosmetic thing, I like it, okay, that's fine. But if you combine that with the logical numbers, you're going to be way ahead of your community, and that is important thing to understand. That's a hack, that's the only hack. If it makes sense, buy it. If it doesn't make sense, move forward. And the last thing I always want to say is life's battle doesn't always go for the strongest and the fastest man. It's my example. I have only, I will tell you, $200 when my father sent me. In my bank accounts, I used to have it. That's how I study. I'm not saying I only have $200, but I still remember the cash he gave me when I was taking my flight from Delhi. It was $200 and it was Canadian dollars. And I was feeling a little bit bad, Like maybe I can have $1,000 at least, but that was where we come from. But I still say, like, life's battle doesn't always go for the strongest and the fastest man, but later or sooner, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can, because that is very, very important. Because if you don't have the will, if you don't trust on yourself, nobody is gonna bet on you. First of all, neither your friends, your families, because everybody at the end of the day, see, if you have trust, if you are able to pull it off, yes, but you have to trust. No strong, no weak. At the end of the day, set a target, visualize it, be honest to your God and to your work. If those two things are there, it's going to come later, slowly, but it will come. And the last thing which my teacher always teach me, Stephen Arnew, feel good. We are earning money, we are doing business, we are doing everything to, to feel good, right? And if in process of that we are not feeling good, which means something is going wrong. So very first thing when you wake up in the morning or any time when you feel bad, first of all think, am I feeling good? If I'm not feeling good, feel little bit good more, because that's why we are earning money, that's why we need vacations, that's why we need family, to feel good. And if we are not feeling good before, which is just a mindset. So feel little bit good and be grateful. Things do work. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all this valuable information. If you guys love what you heard from Vardaan, he will be tagged on here. You'll also, the link for REFAM will be here for his specific profile. So if you want to learn even more about him, definitely check out that link and or DM him. Just check what he's up to these days. And if you guys love what you heard from me, same thing. You can follow me here. You can also check out my link will also be there for refams. You can check out my profile too. Brendan, thank you so much for coming on. It was so much fun to chat with you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you for the opportunity. And I want to say, my users and my followers as well, I have learned a lot of my journey following Diana. She's doing wonderful job there back in GTA. She's an investor. She takes care of flips. She takes care of burrs. Please follow her contents. It takes a lot of efforts to make these contents free of cost, for which sometimes we people have to pay coaching and then learn the things. So if you see an investor somewhere, specifically I can do and say for Diana, like, follow these investors because they give out tons of knowledge outside. Their platform is giving a lot of information, a lot of professionals where you can rely upon rather than just getting scammed by someone. So please follow these investors and understand the value they are bringing to the table. Thank you so much, Diana.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for the kind words, and we'll see everyone in the next episode. Bye, everyone.